Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 102, take two. We won't tell you why we're taking two, but here we go. Uh, Big Buck Stephen Mike got the Big Smooth, Fresh West. Good to be back into season five. This is again a great time of year. I love this time of year because we got college, March Madness, bracket starting. You got NFL, even though the season's over, free agency coming up in the draft. So we're still in a pretty good spot for sports. After this, you get into that summer lull, but I still am pretty happy about the next couple of weeks or month or so, of sports. So good time to still be in the podcast, listen to what we're talking about. You know, so talking about the NFL, so I want to get in the NFL first. A lot of stuff is happening in free agency. A lot of moves, things that are going to affect the draft, and how teams may be drafting. And I think, as obviously for me, biggest fan of sports is NFL for me. It makes for an interesting off season so far. And we talked about it on our previous podcast that we didn't get to post, so I want to re-talk about it again, which has changed a little bit since we talked about even last week, right? Who are your winners and losers in free agency so far? And we can talk general free agency. How has that changed since for us since the last time we talked? But let's talk about, our biggest winners and losers in free agency and what these moves are. So first of all, let's start with biggest winners, top three, go from three up. So who's your first big winner from free agency? Not the biggest, but like three up. So number three, biggest winner in free agency.
This is a tough one. I would say, yeah, I've changed a little bit. I'm gonna go Falcons as my three. I don't think I had Falcons before, but I'm taking Falcons as my third best just because their division is not that hard. They got Kirk Cousins, they got Mooney. So now, they have a luxury with their draft pick because Minnesota, Denver, Las Vegas, they'll all want to trade up to probably the Falcons pick to get one of the quarterbacks. And so that helps them out because they don't have that much of a needs. They can get go for the best player available. So that really helped out getting Cousins and Mooney. So now their offense is pretty much set. And their defense was pretty solid last year.
Right. I mean, I like Kirk Cousins for me. I mean, I love the fact that the Falcons decided, hey, we're going to address quarterback right now. I'm not the biggest Kirk Cousins fan in the world, but I think he's a solid quarterback. And I think that's what they needed because they didn't have that. And they have a lot of talent. I think adding Mooney helped them a lot, to be honest, because it does give them, a good secondary receiver. He's a good slot receiver. He's good that you have to pay attention to him. So I do think that's good for them. Although I don't understand how Kirk Cousins keeps getting these huge guaranteed contracts.
Yeah.
And it's a premium. I mean, most good quarterbacks don't make it to free agency.
I mean, but his contracts, dude, they're almost fully guaranteed every time.
Well, it's supply and demand, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree. I think I like Falcons there. I think that's good. I think that's a great pick. What do you think, Wes?
It's my favorite team in the world. Kansas City Chiefs. Number 3.
Yeah, I mean, and since we talked last, like they made a couple moves too, right?
Yeah. I mean, you pick up Marquise Brown. You're basically all those routes that freaking Tyreek Hill are running. They're going to start running those routes again, and they're going to destroy teams as long as he stays healthy. You know, but that's such a big pickup for them. You know,
I think that's a I think that's a big key, right? He has to stay healthy. He has to be playing,
yeah,
to make it a value. But he does add that dimension that they lost, even though they still won the Super Bowl. They
yeah,
lost that dimension of a receiver that I think they gained back.
yeah.
Um, did I also see that they're going after Mike Williams?
No, he's signed with the Jets.
Same with the Jets. I thought they were trying to sign him at one point.
He was gonna go, I know, the Jets and the Panthers that do his tour, but you know how a lot of these free agents, the first stop they go to, they won't let him leave and they give him a contract. So
Right.
happened, he signed with the Jets.
Jeez,
So if
that's
he
good for the
stays healthy
Jets.
and Rodgers stays healthy, that's a pretty good potent
Oh,
offense.
there, yeah, right there. There you go. Williams signs with the Jets. Um, that's good for the Jets. Yeah, that's real good for the Jets. But I agree. I think Wes, that's a great pick. I think they helped themselves out there, but they also re-signed Chris Jones, right? That's huge.
Right.
Dude, they're loaded. It's so stupid.
So that makes yeah, that makes Kansas City a little bit more effective there. I'm gonna track back to Pittsburgh for mine with the additional now trade for Justin Fields. I think you really solidified yourself there because at first it's like, well, you get Russ, right? Who probably will do fine, but he may not be a long-term solution. And if he doesn't, or you have Justin Fields now playing this slash role, the old
Yeah.
Cordell Stewart role, right? Which
Yeah.
as we know, because we live that, that's dangerous. That gives you that
Yeah.
extra
They
weapon.
they
And
should have won the Super Bowl if the idiot I can't even believe it. Neil Dillon did throw away the game. They should have won the Super Bowl. But that was their season. He ran Cordell ran the slash, and I don't think they'll do the exact same thing, but that's potentially what they could do.
right.
7 to 10 plays a game.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
put him in for what, 5, 10 plays a game.
yeah,
And what do you do as a defense when Fields comes on the field?
yeah,
It changes the whole way you're defending them, right? And that opens up guys like Pickens and Najee Harris. Even for Russ, it makes it a little bit easier that the defense has to change up the way they're defending.
yeah.
So I hate to see Justin Fields go because I actually am a Justin Fields fan, but I think
For
that
nothing.
for nothing. Potentially a fourth round, but there's no way he's playing 51% of the snaps, right? So,
Unless Russell gets hurt.
right. Um,
Well, everyone like all day today, all they're talking about is how they should have waited to trade him near the trade deadline to get more for him.
No, they should have traded him before free agency started.
Well, of
That's
course,
yeah.
when they needed to
of
trade him.
course.
Well,
But they could have.
there's also the narrative going around that he asked to go to Pittsburgh and
Yeah,
Ryan Poles wanted to do right by him
yeah.
and
That's
I mean, then that doesn't make a lot of sense because that's not a business decision to do right by your player to get nothing for him. But maybe they did. Maybe they were like, hey, Justin, we love you. We're sorry. It's not a right fit now. and you want to go to Pittsburgh,
There was a team that, and we don't know the team that had a better offer,
right. They said multiple teams.
but
There was no way
it was
they were going to play.
no, it was sliding. The longer that it waited out to the draft, teams were gonna say, you know what, we'll give you nothing for him. How about that? And take him.
Right.
Because Chicago was in such a bad position. And so they probably did. They said they probably went to Justin, like, where do you want to go? And he probably said the Steelers. And it makes sense because they're the most stable organization. You know, they have stability. They have a track record of, they're just a good organization. And it was a smart move by all parties.
I also think that it gives him a long-term chance to play, right? So he's probably not going to play right away. You do get some time to sit behind Russ, and they only signed him to a 1 year anyway. And
Doesn't matter. They could trade him before the trade deadline. You never know. So if Russ really is not the answer, they can get rid of him, and they don't care. They didn't spend anything on him. And then you just put in Justin Fields.
$0.
Although they've already been talking about doing an extension with Russell Wilson, so
Yeah, but
well, that's great. Like, let's do it. Oh,
I like it. Like I said, I like it because even with Russ, let's say you extend him, it doesn't matter. He's your starter. I think I think Justin Fields brings a lot athletically, and it reminds me of that old Cordell Stewart type
it is.
position that's really hard to defend.
Yeah, it's totally that.
So we'll see what happens there. But I think the Steelers did good by themselves, getting rid of good old Cody Pickett.
Dude, did you hear Cody Pickett? Like, so the rumor is Cody was mad when they signed Russ.
Yeah,
And
well, that's why they say that's why they traded him.
yeah, it's like, Cody.
Well, you also heard also part of the rumor was they told him that he will compete for the starting job. And then when they got Russ, they said he's the starter. So
Right.
that's why he was mad.
Yeah, that's what really got him upset. What's funny is I actually saw a highlight film for the actual Cody Pickett when he played for San Francisco. So there's a real quarterback named Cody Pickett who
I know.
threw the ball to. It was a San Francisco game, and it was a highlight, a Brandon Lloyd highlight. And they're like, "Oh, Cody Pickett," and I'm like, "Yeah, there's Cody," but
Different Cody Pickett.
he hasn't earned his name back. We're gonna keep calling him Cody.
We won't even hear about him
Right.
anymore. He's gone.
He might be. He might be. So I like what the Steelers did for themselves. So I'm going to put them at 3. Let's go to 3 now on the worst. So who number 3 worst free agency so far.
Well, Steve's not going to like this. My 3 worst is the Ravens.
Really?
Yes. Now I'm glad. You know what? Derrick Henry's awesome and everything, but not when you lose 3 offensive linemen, a starting safety,
Right.
a starting middle linebacker, and you don't replace any of that.
Yeah.
So it's cool with Derrick Henry and all, and you also Dell, which is, is there here or there, but they still need receiving help.
Right.
So it's cool. Like, Derrick Henry's great, but you need that offensive line.
Right.
And they got a lot of work to do. And they'll probably make more moves and do it, but at the moment, they made the splash with Henry, but they got weaker other spots.
Yeah, they didn't do a good job retaining. I thought losing Patrick Queen hurt them a lot.
And that was to the Steelers too. We
Right.
forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. The Steelers got Patrick Queen too.
Right. And then
Uh,
Geno Stone went to the Bengals, I think, right? Yeah. So he
no, I
lost to
mean, it's more, as more things played out, I can go with that. I think that's definitely a. I mean, it's hard to say you're a loser when you get Derrick Henry, but definitely some valid points, right? What do you got there at three, Wes? Like biggest losers.
Well, the Cowboys, because they don't do anything. Like they actually need to make moves. They lost Pollard. They lost, you know, they just they haven't done anything. But of course, they don't. They have the cap space. Like everyone's like, why don't you sign Derrick Henry? Well, they can't afford Derrick Henry. You know. But at the same point, it's like they really need to improve their defense. They got holes, and Green Bay exposed those holes pretty bad. So they lost a running back. They lost Vandovich. They lost, they lost their, was it Tyron Smith?
yeah.
Yep.
Like they haven't done shit. So
Yeah.
that's weird.
I 100%. I actually have the Cowboys there as well. Because it's not, I mean, they lost, but you're right. You can't do a lot with what they have money available. But they lost more than they gained. And they, even with the little amount of money they do have, it just doesn't feel like they were involved much, you know?
But they're all in. That's what Jerry Jones said.
They're
We're all in.
yeah.
They're all in.
Jerry
I,
Jones.
I put the Cowboys there too. I don't think they lost too much because I'm not a huge Van Der Esch fan anyway. Pollard, I can give or take. He's a little bit older, as far as running backs
He's
are
not a
considered.
one. He's not a one.
To me, he's not. Like he's a good.
Not
I
a
mean,
one.
he is a one, but he's a one for an average to below average
Like
team.
Jacksonville, he's a one for Jacksonville.
He's a one for
Not a one for.
Jacksonville.
He's not
Dude,
Tony
ATN's
Dorsett.
in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
What are
Tony
you talking?
ETN,
Dorsett
dude.
was a one. Watch Super Bowl 13. You want to see a one? It's Tony Dorsett. He almost won that game for them by himself.
No, I agree with that one though. I have the Cowboys there as well. So go back to well, let's stay with biggest losers number two because that way we get to finish with number one biggest winners. Biggest losers number two. I got Denver here because I think very similar like Justin Simmons, Jerry Judy. I get it. You're talking about cap space things and other factors, but you didn't really add a lot and you lost a couple good players. And at this point, like I don't know what Denver's plan is.
Get Bo Nix.
Yeah, I mean, I do think they're going to
That's
get
their
Bo
plan.
Nix, 100%. I would bet right now at high odds that Denver drafts Bo Nix. So you heard it here first from the HSC podcast that Denver drafts Bo Nix. But around the rest of the team, like I don't know what you're doing. Like, what's your goal?
To me, Sean Payton is just basically another Josh McDaniels, right?
Ooh.
Well, think about it.
That's brutal.
Well, think about it.
That's harsh, dude.
Josh McDaniels was an offensive genius in New England. Why?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning coach, offensive genius. Why?
Drew. Brees.
Right. Drew
Yeah.
Brees.
What has he done without Drew Brees?
That's why he's so
But he
angry
does
at Russell.
have a Super Bowl as a head coach, unlike Josh McDaniels, who
Josh McDaniels has what, like 5 Super Bowls as the offensive
yeah,
assistant, right?
under Bill Belichick.
Yeah, but he still did. Bill Belichick call the offense?
Right.
No, he didn't touch the offense. Sean Payton, um, he, if you're, this is what I always hate, and this is what Josh McDaniels did, and this is what Payton does, and this is where you know you have a bad coach when you're like, well, I don't got the players I need for my system. No, you know what? If you're a good coach, you adapt to the
You
players you
adapt
have.
to the players that
Don
you
Don Shula did.
You have a
Don-
Super Bowl winning quarterback,
Yeah.
right? And Russell Wilson. He did not have a bad year, but you blamed him
right.
for everything. Come
He
on,
had,
man.
he had a well improved year last year comparatively to his first year. Obviously, he's improving, and there was a point last year, and I know it wasn't like the strongest point, but there was a point where Denver, we said Denver could make the playoffs.
Right. I feel like Sean Payton, it's like when Gruden came back. The game has passed you on.
Yeah, I mean I mean it's a pretty good point where when you talk about that system and how long does it take you to build that system. And will Denver like sit back and allow you to do that with without any kind of performance? Because even in New Orleans, they were still winning games
But they underachieved too a lot.
a few times, right? But they were always a contender. I don't think anybody looks at Denver right now as like, man, I don't want to play Denver, or Denver is going to make a splash.
Yes, but before Sean Payton came there, remember it was all Denver needs is a quarterback,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I heard
Every
that
year,
from a lot of
every
people.
year, all these guys were like,
Hey,
"Oh, Denver's going to make the
if
playoffs.
they get a quarterback or the
Their defense is
quarterback's
so
holding them
amazing.
back.
They only give up
No,
70 points one time."
I think Denver's been to enough Super Bowls. They've won enough Super Bowls. They don't need a winner another Super Bowl like till like Super Bowl 100. I think
Yeah, you'd
that's the
like that, wouldn't you?
Super Bowl 100. Yeah, I would. Like like that's we don't really care about Denver anymore. Go ahead and draft Bo Nix. I actually feel bad for Bo Nix. I think he should go to Minnesota, but they're going to go after JJ McCarthy. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Because Minnesota's got the 11th pick. I say JJ, they're going to get JJ at 11 unless someone moves up. Get him. I don't think anybody will. And then Bo Nix will go 12. And I don't know what the Raiders are going to do at 13. So they got to make a decision.
Well, so the couple of word on the street, New England might go after JJ.
Why?
Because he's a Michigan quarterback and he's white, and it's
Because
Boston.
He looks like he's from New England too.
they're not about
That look on
DEI.
his face. He looks like Matt Damon and like Goodwill Hunting did. He looks like he's from New Boston, did.
Well, I mean, the reality is he had a great combine. The top three quarterbacks didn't compete in the combine. His stock went way up. Oh, he was high. He's been hyped a lot since that. And you can't put it past New England to think, oh well, we make these amazing picks that nobody else would make.
No.
So I could see that. I don't think it's the best pick. What I'm saying is I could see McCarthy going to the Patriots. And there's been a little bit of talk about that, but
So that means Drake May is going to the Giants.
I mean, if Jaden Daniels goes too, Drake May might be going to the Commanders.
right. And then maybe Jaden Daniels goes to the Vikings.
Or that's when the Raiders, then that's the Cardinals. This is my fear, though, too. Then who do you think the Chargers end up with?
I mean, I've always thought Brock Bowers for the Chargers.
Brock Bowers, yeah.
No, no. Think about this. They'll end up with Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh yeah, well, because you get rid of Keenan Allen, you get rid of Mike Williams. You can't tell me that Quentin Johnston and what's his name,
Josh Palmer.
Josh Palmer are your guys.
They're going to get either if the Cardinals trade out, then the Chargers is going to get the best player in the draft
Yeah,
falling in their laps. Or if they don't, if the Chargers take, then they're going to get neighbors.
yeah. I could see them going receiver 100%. Now, I mean, considering what's played out for them, I could see that because you got to put somebody with Justin or with Herbert, right? You have to.
Okay.
You can't be like, hey, Justin Herbert, we brought in a new coach for you to grow and to learn with, and here's your guys. You know, you get
Remember,
Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston.
well, remember the way Harbaugh is. Harbaugh likes to build from the inside out.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, it would make sense since you get rid of Mike Williams, they need a receiver now. Marvin Harrison Jr. does make sense. But the way Harbaugh operates, I bet you he likes Brock Bowers. And
I
Justin
can see
Herbert
Brock Bowers as well.
and
I don't
Brock,
think that's
and the thing is, Herbert, I don't care what anybody says. Yes, he has ability, but he lacks confidence. And the best way to give a quarterback confidence is give him a dependable tight end, like Brock Bowers.
But
No.
I think, who has Harbaugh seen the most of? Who has burned him?
right. He's played a lot of games
Harrison
against,
Jr.
a lot of
Oh, yeah.
games against
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think it
Oh yeah. Oh
comes
yeah.
down.
If he falls to San Diego, there's no way he's not taking Marvin Harrison Jr.
right.
I just don't see how.
How does Arizona not take him though?
Yeah.
If McCarthy goes 3, or if the Vikings, because the Vikings have 2 first-rounders now.
Yeah.
If the Vikings want to trade up to 4 because
Right.
they're afraid the Giants might take JJ McCarthy.
I could
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
so you're talking about a trade. So then if Arizona gets enough value to trade back,
Right.
that yeah. But if Marvin Harrison Jr. is there, Arizona hasn't traded back. How do they not take him?
No, they would.
Right.
I'm just saying, if you said that McCarthy's going 3,
Right.
then someone's going to overpay for 4.
Right. Right. Because then they can get Jaden Daniels
Or Drake May. Yeah.
or Drake May. Yeah, depending on what happens in the second pick. Because I mean, there's no doubt Caleb Williams goes to Chicago, right? I don't think
There's no doubt.
there's no question anymore.
Mel
Holes
Kiper says it's a guarantee.
It is a guarantee. And I'm
going off Mel Kiper.
not always good with going with Mel Kiper, but I just think at this point, with what's transpired, it's guarantee, right? But I don't think 2's a guarantee. I don't think 2's a guarantee. I think, dude, the Commanders could take JJ McCarthy.
Or they could trade down.
Well,
Or
they're
thinking
not,
maybe
they got
they
rid
get
of Sam
later.
Howell, though.
Well,
Well, they got rid of Sam Howell. The Commanders they have to go quarterback, right? Commanders have to go quarterback,
Yeah.
but maybe they do trade down saying maybe we want to take JJ later, or maybe we think we can get Drake May at 5 or 6 or 7.
Right.
Yep. Dude,
That's an interesting scenario, but the reality is though, if Arizona's picking and Marvin Harrison Jr. is available, that's a done deal. I don't see that going any other way.
Yeah, no, they lost Hollywood Brown. They have
Right.
no one. They need
have
somebody.
nothing. They have not. They have to get.
Yeah, because didn't they? One of their other players, didn't they trade to? I can't remember. Maybe not. I think like their number 1 receiver is Dortch right now.
Right. Which is not terrible, but yeah, so that really So we went off on a draft tangent there, but we're talking Denver. So let's swing back to Derek. What's your
Well, you've already said it's the Cowboys. They
Cowboys?
lost Smith and they also lost Tyler, their center, Tyler Badays,
Right.
and they didn't get all they got was Eric Hendricks.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have to sign Dak, re-sign Dak to a big contract. They're gonna have to sign CD Lamb. They're gonna have to sign Micah Parsons. All three are getting big contracts.
Yeah.
So they're kind of stifled.
They're going all in though.
They're all
Well,
in.
basically, think about it. It's just what happened to him a few years ago.
Yeah.
They paid Dak a bunch of money. They paid Zeke Elliott a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And they paid Amari Cooper a bunch of money. And then look how that went. They couldn't pay them all.
Yeah.
They should
Cowboys
trade
are
Micah Parsons is what they should do.
You want the number one pick? That might be a way to get it.
Yeah.
Because you know the Bears, dude, they'll trade away Justin Fields and then not draft a quarterback.
We got Badgent.
We got Vagin.
Oh,
No, they'll
Badgett.
take Knicks at 9.
Yeah, right. No, they'll get what's his name from South Carolina.
Oh,
No,
Spencer
dude.
Rattler.
Right.
No, the dude from Tulane. They'll get him.
What do you got at two worst, Wes?
Well, anything that has to do with the Carolina Panthers is number 2 or number 1 to me because they're just horrendous. Like overpaying for an offensive lineman, like Robert Hunt. Just everything that they do is horrific. So
It
Yeah,
is.
they got Deontay Johnson, though.
Yeah, the guy who can't catch a football. You're like, hey, let's go get a receiver who drops everything.
no, dude.
It's better than what they've had.
Right.
And remember who was throwing to him.
But dude, really? I kid you not. I heard this the other day. And it wasn't from a sports analyst, it was from a Carolina fan. Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen might be one of the best combos in the league.
Like Adam Thielen 10 years ago, maybe. But
Can you imagine like going on and being like Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson might be one of the better combos in the league?
well, we know that actually what the big one is it's your Bears. Keenan Allen and DJ Moore.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you gotta put him up there. Even with you consider Keenan Allen aging a little bit,
Right.
still had one of his best years last year, and now you pair him with DJ Moore. That just instead of him declining a little bit, he probably stays where he's at because he gets a little less attention because you do have to pay more attention to DJ Moore.
Yeah.
And one of the other funny ones I was thinking of was Tennessee. Hopkins and Ridley.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I think Hopkins still is a big threat. Will he do what he did in the previous years? No, but it's not like a guy you can be like he's old and just leave him alone. He's still a threat.
Right. And now you add Calvin Ridley, who
Right. Yeah. Their problem is like how much do you trust their quarterback, you know?
right.
Will Levis does have a strong arm, but it's like he has a strong arm like Drew Lock. Like you just
Or
don't know
like
where
Jay Cutler.
It's like Cutler. Like Cutler could throw it over a mountain, and the mountain will intercept it and go back.
Will Levis is a slightly worse version of Jay Cutler.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
Well, I remember I don't know if it was on the last podcast, but or Jay Cutler in his pro day lifted more than any linebacker this year in their pro day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that. And he probably had a cigarette in his mouth.
Probably. He's out.
Uh,
He's on the what's it? What is that game? The beanbag game.
oh, Cornhole.
Yeah, he's on the cornhole tour now.
Right. But yeah, I mean, Carolina, they can be any bad conversation you have right now, you can throw Carolina in
Yeah. Well, we just all pile on Carolina, and it wouldn't be fair, but it would be because
But
their owner is an idiot.
yes, but remember the Jags a few years ago, everyone was like, why would you pay Christian Kirk so much money?
there. Right.
It's because the Jags are horrible. You have to overpay to get players. So what did they do? They got him a guard to protect Bryce Young, and they got a receiver. So they at least are trying to do stuff.
They are
Do I
trying.
think the owner is good? No, he's horrible. But
No, and I think that's a big problem for them. But I mean, they are trying, but I don't have them obviously in my top three, but I don't think it's a terrible place to put them because, just because they have a lot of faults these
yeah.
days. So I'm not in total disagreement with that. So let's go into second winners. Like next up on like who did really well. Um I I I mean I still love what the Packers did. So I think the Packers the crazy thing about the Packers is when you look at now their offense, the skill positions, Josh Jacobs is now the oldest
Yeah.
in their skill positions. So did did they do better than a lot of other teams? Yeah, no other a lot of other teams did good for themselves with what they signed, but I think what the Packers needed to establish a long-term, sustainability for their offense, I think they did exactly what they needed to do. Added a really solid running back who is going to demand attention away from some of these young receivers, and Jordan Love take some pressure off of him. And so I think the Packers did great for themselves in that pickup. And so I have them at my number two, which I hate to put them there because I hate the Packers, obviously. But I think that they couldn't have done better for themselves than to pick up Josh Jacobs.
Well, you're gonna like me now on this one. My two big winner is the Bears. I mean, you look at that offense, you're gonna bring in Caleb Williams. I know you might like varying opinions on Swift, but he's still really good. Plus, you still got Johnson and Herbert. So
Right.
you got lots of options. Komet with Allen and DJ Moore. Plus, you have the ninth overall pick. And then you jettisoned Eddie Jackson because he was not what he used to
No,
be.
should have got rid of him
Yeah,
last year.
yeah, and you got Bayard to replace him.
Mhm.
And you franchised and kept Jalen Johnson because I think they actually re-signed
No, he
him.
re-signed him. Yeah.
Yeah, so your corners are set with him and Stevenson, and so you're looking at the ninth overall pick. It's a luxury. Do you go with the best tackle available? Do you go with the best defensive player available? I mean, do
That's
you
the
go
thing
with the
is
receiver?
you're able to pick the best player available no matter what position it is because you solidified all those other positions. And the bringing in Montez Sweat, I know at the time it didn't look great, but the way he performed and now what it looks like is like that's super smart
Right.
because you added two linebackers last year that even though they're not Roquan, they're very serviceable
Right.
at a high level. So that gives you that pick this year that once you grab Caleb, now you're like, who is the absolute best player we can take? And it doesn't matter who it is.
Right. Because you can get what
You
I've
can take
seen. You
Brock
can get a
Bowers.
yes, Brock Bowers, a Dunze,
Right.
Fashanu from
Yeah, Penn State.
Yeah, Dallas Turner.
Yeah.
You can get, I mean, one of the corners.
Kool-Aid. We can get Kool-Aid.
Well, sadly, now I'm seeing Kool-Aid's a late first
Yeah.
rounder.
He's dropped a
It's
little bit.
actually his running mate, Arnold.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. The Keenan Allen move really solidified their free agency because even if you kept Justin Fields, you did great, right? And now when you bring in Caleb Williams, you can make that argument that Justin Fields was progressing, but now it doesn't. You could put Badgett in, right? And you're gonna do well.
Yeah, and that's the thing is before, the ninth pick was going to have to be a Dunze, right? Or neighbors, whoever
Right.
fell. And now you're like, well, it's a luxury to go with a receiver here because we got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a luxury, right? And the only reason you do it, I think, I mean, maybe somehow Marvin Harrison ends up there, right? Not, I mean, that's a long shot, but I don't even think you do receiver at this point. I think you take one of those great defensive players, offensive linemen, defensive edge, those type because let's say you get a Dallas Turner opposite Montez Sweat. Now you've got solid linebackers, a really good secondary, a great safety, Pro Bowl safety in the back, and then you throw in another really good edge rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's solid. So I'm still disappointed in the loss of Fields. So I didn't put him in there for that reason.
Well, they, like we said, if they knew they were taking Caleb Williams before free agency started, they should have traded him for like a third round pick.
Yeah,
But they
yeah.
were too
You mean
greedy.
maybe even a second? Yeah,
Yeah.
you could have
Well,
like
the asking price was up first, and
right.
everyone was like, "Nah, that's okay." And then every team started picking up quarterbacks, and then it
Yeah,
was like, "Well, there goes our."
yeah. They should have done it way earlier, but they weren't ready to commit at that point, and I don't think they knew some things that they obviously didn't probably knew they weren't getting Keenan Allen things like that. So, but that's okay. I mean, they did well, and I think that's a great number two there. We'll get Wes's two when he comes back. Number one worst for me. Um, I gotta go with the Cowboys.
You put the Cowboys at
Oh,
3.
wait, no, I picked the Cowboys at one. They were my one last week. That's why.
Oh,
Let's go. Let's go with the Chargers. So I don't think the Chargers. I think, yeah, I get it. You have cap space problems, but bringing in a new coach and then saying you're in a full rebuild. I just don't think this is the best scenario for Harbaugh. This will test Harbaugh's ability as a coach. Like you're putting him in a crazy situation. I like the fact that Mac and Bosa restructured. I think that helped them tremendously because that could have caused a huge problem for them if those guys were like, "Screw you, we're not going to restructure." But Eckler, Williams, and Allen, that's tough.
yeah. Well, the thing is restructure is nothing because they still get their money.
Right.
Keenan Allen, they asked for a pay cut,
Yeah.
and that was so disrespectful for your best offensive weapon.
Oh, easily your best offensive weapon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I I think the Chargers and Cowboys are swappable, but at that point, I'm gonna go with the Chargers there. That I think you put your team in a full on rebuild, and I don't think that's the best thing to do when you're bringing a new hyped coach who the expectations are going to be here, and your talent level is down here.
Well, with all that happening, they went from they're going to take Alt, the best tackle available, to now like, oh, well, we might need a receipt. We have
Right.
other needs now.
Right.
Where if they
Yeah.
would have got rid of Mike Williams and then Mac, it would have worked out better.
Right. I agree 100%, right? Because then, and you also have that continuity between Herbert and Keenan Allen.
Right.
It's a safety net. It makes him more confident, it makes him feel comfortable. Now you're going to send him out there with nothing?
Well, I forgot they lost Gerald Everett too.
Right. Gerald Everett, right?
They lost every starting skill position player. But
Except Herbert.
everyone's still going to say they're going to make the playoffs.
It's crazy. Well, because they got Harbaugh now.
Yep.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, Everett, Williams, Allen, Eckler, dude, that's crazy. So that's got to be my number one. I got to put him there. What do you got, Eric?
The Buffalo Bills are my number one. Because they didn't do much, and they lost Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White, Mitch Morse, Gabe Davis, Leonard Floyd, and Micah Hyde.
Yep.
Are the Raiders going to sign White?
No, I don't think he already he's taken other visits, so I doubt it.
Yeah.
He went there first, then he's got like 3 other places. And that's what I said earlier. If you got a free agent visit and they go to another visit, you're probably not getting them.
You're probably not getting them.
Because they kept, they had White and then Madison in. They signed Madison, which I think that's good. I mean, Zamir White and Madison. So it's like, the Vikings were like, oh, we're going to make him our starter. No, you can make him like
Right.
share the duty guy. But no, I would love for White to be with the Raiders.
Yeah. And I think the Bills, we kind of knew this was coming with the Bills though, right?
Right.
I guess you knew it was coming with the Chargers. I think it was more unexpected what the Chargers did. Like you knew they had to make decisions. I think it was unexpected the decisions they made.
Well,
Where
I guess Greg Roman's their offensive coordinator. He doesn't like to pass the ball, right?
right. There but you knew it was coming with the Bills though too, right? So we already knew this was coming. But at the end of the day, you're right. Like you just lost a lot of key positions and players.
Yeah.
Can you really rely on Josh Allen now to carry your team?
Well, and then that was the big thing with them last year was they had a lot of injuries and they had no depth.
Yeah.
And now you're losing starters and you haven't replaced them. The only
Although
thing
their
is
end
they
of the
replaced.
season run was pretty historic.
Right. But I mean, the only thing when you replaced was Gabe Davis with Curtis Samuel.
Yeah.
Is that an upgrade? No, not really. They're different players, but Gabe Davis could go for 200 yards.
I don't think that's an upgrade. I like Curtis Samuel. I don't dislike Curtis Samuel. I think he's solid. I think he's a solid pick, but I would rather have Gabe Davis as that to stretch the field guy. Curtis Samuel's too much like Diggs for me.
Yeah.
Those guys are too similar. So that's a good one. So Wes, you gotta give your 2 and 1 worst losers.
Well, I did
No,
Carolina.
he needed
Oh.
his second winner. And
Second winner and first loser. Is that what we missed?
Oh,
What we missed
first
from
guy.
this?
Yeah.
No, my second is still the Steelers, just because, they secured their quarterback position, got Justin Fields. They got Queen as well. Well,
And then what is your first loser?
no, the same as you, Buffalo. Big time. Dude, losing Gabe Davis, that's horrific. Because, you don't know what you're going to get now with Diggs. But Diggs is unhappy. Gabe Davis, honestly, Gabe Davis is their security blanket. You lose him to the Jaguars? No. No. They lost a lot. And they'll replace it in the draft to a certain extent, but still.
They'll always be a threat because they have Josh Allen, but will they be a Super Bowl contender anymore? I don't think so.
No, they're not. I mean, Josh Allen's great, but when you have Stephon Diggs who doesn't want to be there for some reason, like he thinks he's going to go to a better situation with a better quarterback than Josh Allen. Okay, maybe you can go to Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes or Cincinnati with Joe Burrow because they're going to lose T. Higgins. Maybe they should just swap. T. Higgins goes to Buffalo and Diggs goes to fucking Cincinnati. But for Diggs to think that he's always pouting, Shannon Sharp went off on Diggs. He's like he's a spoiled brat. He's like he wouldn't even made it in his era of the NFL. He's always It's like, dude, what's your problem? What you want to go? You want to go to the Raiders and be like Devontae Adams and have nobody to throw to you?
Well, that's what's
That's
going to
just
end up
stupid.
happening with Diggs.
Yeah,
I think
he's
I
gonna
think at
go.
the end of the day, he's going to end up somewhere. He's going to wash away.
Oh yeah,
If you keep complaining, if you keep playing that game, of like you got to be happy with where you're at sometimes. And I think Diggs is going to realize that, or maybe not, and end up.
you could go to the Cowboys and have Dak Prescott throw him the football.
Well, that's the thing is, hello, we're repeating history. He was on the Minnesota Vikings
Yeah.
and he cried and whined and wanted to be traded.
Yeah.
Oh, look, what did the Minnesota Vikings get for him? Justin Jefferson.
Jefferson, right?
Yeah.
So you had Buffalo at your number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because I think Buffalo they took a super hard hit. But I think, I don't know. I like Josh Allen. I think he makes a team better, and they're still not in a bad situation. They have some holes and they have some things they need to fix, but if 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 you still have Josh Allen there at the helm, I think you're okay. But that's tough. It's tough for them too. All right. Well, last one, this number one, right? Number one. Did you give who's your number one, Wes?
Number one
Winner.
Winner.
winner, I still think it's Houston Texans. Yeah, Joe Mixon. They add a lot of people. Just getting Joe Nixon, it's just itself. That was a steal. I mean, they're already a top 8 team, and anybody that they add in the draft, which just going to make them better.
Do you think, and maybe this is for both guys, like, do you think Houston maintains that next year? I mean, I seen people having Houston going to the Super Bowl next year.
Well, if you look at their division's in flux. Jacksonville, huge question mark. Tennessee is rebuilding, obviously, and Indianapolis. It all depends on the quarterback position. and how healthy he is. And they should win that division. So that puts them in the playoffs already. So I don't know about Super Bowl. I mean, that's because honestly, we can't even talk anything about Super Bowl ever again without just putting an asterisk around the Kansas City Chiefs. Because I might as well pick them every year. And it's stupid. I don't want to pick them. But I'm being realistic. This is the business side of football. Why would I pick anybody in the AFC but
so
Kansas City?
here's the reason I say that though is because now Houston now gets to play the conference champion schedule. You went from the worst schedule to now one of the tougher schedules.
True.
And it's not that I don't think Houston's good. I like their team. I like what they're doing. I love their coach.
But
does CJ Stroud come out and have the same year that he played last year, right? Are guys like, Nico Collins now not Nico Collins always good, but now it's like we got a key on him where before it was like, it's Nico Collins. It's not, Jamar Chase. It's not Justin Jefferson.
Well, I mean, we got to realize too, they did it without Tank Dell.
Yeah. Well, they had him most of the year, though.
Yeah, they didn't have him for the playoffs,
right,
so
right.
it mattered. So, I mean, now just think about that. You're getting Tank Dell back. You got in Joe Mixon now. You got Daniel Hunter, Danico Autry, Aziz Azir, the linebacker from the Titans. So they fortified their defense. Plus, they got an experienced running back, and they're getting their receiver back. They didn't lose anybody of significance in free agency either. So they've only been getting better.
Yeah, I love the Mixon pickup. I think that helps you a lot, right? Because even though you look at a guy like Singletary and what's the other dude? The guy that was starting most for them at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and last year. I know.
Stevenson, not Steve. Is it Stevenson? No.
No, he was from Florida. I can't even remember because he was their starter last year.
Yeah.
Or the year before, I guess before now.
God, what's his name? I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but
I know I can't think straight.
That's not the same. The point is that's not the same as having Mixon, right? So that's a huge upgrade in my mind for them there.
Right.
But at the same time, when you go to that tougher schedule and you also playing the Texans last year, everybody's kind of you take them lightly. Like nobody's taking the Texans lightly anymore. And you're playing now, you got to play all the conference winners. All your schedule gets tougher. So that's my question. And they're not saying the Texans aren't going to be good, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're just saying like are they on the schedule for progression as much as we think, or are they going to be similar to what they were this year?
Well, I'm looking at their depth chart right now, and I don't see a weakness, right? They don't have anything that they need to fill. Yeah. So the draft is all best player available now for them. I think, and then this is, Stroud's next step is yes. If you're a good quarterback, look at Mahomes. Like Wes said, you plug them into the Super Bowl every year because it just doesn't matter. It's Mahomes. Doesn't matter what they lose, no matter what. So if we're going to put Stroud as one of the next up and coming, he's going to make the next step. Is that a Super Bowl? Maybe not, but it could be the championship game or the divisional round, right? Because you got to realize too, the Bengals were down this year because Burrow was hurt most of the year. So they're going to come back. You're still going to have Josh Allen and the Bills, even though they lost a bunch of people.
Well, now you have, and then the Jets. The Jets made a couple of good moves. Aaron Rodgers most likely doesn't get a season-ending injury.
Doesn't become vice president.
Doesn't become vice president.
So just stop right there. Stop. My brain
So-
is exploding.
Yeah, and I'm not down talking the Texans. I'm just wondering, do they progress? Do they make it? Do they stay equal with the tougher schedule? Obviously, they added players, but for me, we've seen this play out before where a team has a good run. Sometimes then they take a step back, but sometimes they stay as good. But playing that tougher schedule really tells you what a team's about. It's a lot easier to have a good season on those weak schedules.
Well,
So it's going to be interesting. I thought seeing people saying Texans going to the Super Bowl, I thought that was a stretch.
that's a stretch. That's still. I'm just saying that the free agency helped them a lot.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean like this is probably a 2 or 3 in 2 years. Can I see Texans in the Super Bowl? Of course, but next year, that's a stretch.
yeah.
Like they got beat down by the Ravens. And what happened to the Ravens in the championship? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had Ravens as one of the best free agency moves before, but I kind of agree with Derek in the changes that have happened more recent. Um, and I mean, I hate to fall back to the Falcons, but you know, you really did the best thing you could have done for your team. You put a veteran quarterback who statistically
Yeah.
is there
Statistically, he
always.
gets you in the playoffs.
Every year he's statistically there.
Statistically, he should get them in the playoffs.
Right.
That's all it
And
really matters.
you have a really young team of talented players on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Like
And
you got to think the
Bijan-
Falcons did the best thing that for any team that they could have done.
Bijan should have a breakout year next year.
Yeah.
If not, then that's ridiculous because he's
Kyle
that.
Pitts should have a breakout year finally.
Right.
They all should.
Well, Drake London.
Drake
Imagine,
London.
yeah, when now you throw in Darnell Mooney, right, with Drake London, and now you got Pitts, and then you have this coach that played all the backups too, so they're good too now because they got a bunch of playing time last year and a bunch of offensive calls. So I don't see how you can't see the Falcons as a huge winner.
They're a huge winner because they're in the same division as Carolina.
Yeah. Well, and dude, look.
There's 2 wins right there.
Yeah, did Tampa go to the playoffs last year? Sure. I
I
don't
don't
think they
care.
necessarily deserve to be there, but you can't rely on Baker Mayfield.
No, you can't. They're
And
coming.
the Saints.
Everyone's come for Baker, dude.
The Saints are the most bipolar team that you've seen in a while. Like you don't know if they're a high school team or if they're an NFL team half the time.
Well, yeah, because they routed both the Falcons and the Bucks in the last 2 games of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And they still didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
They're the INTs now.
Even though we all had them winning the division, going to the
They should have, but we forgot it was Dennis Allen.
Let's not remind our listeners how we they're turning off. They're turning everything off right now. Like we actually,
I like the what the Falcons did, and I think they put themselves in the best position possible to have a successful season.
we always have to remember they are the Falcons. They're like the Atlanta Hawks. I don't care. The same thing.
Well, we're about to find out. New coach, new quarterback.
All smiles. It's funny. It's like, looking at the salary that Kirk Cousins gets versus Tom Brady. I'm just like, dude, this is stupid.
Yeah, I mean that's tough,
It's
dude.
it's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it's the difference between someone trying to maximize as much money as they can get versus someone who took pay cuts
Right.
Yeah.
to let his team win.
And he was playing to win, right? He's
Yeah.
Uh,
Plus, at the time, he was married to a billionaire, so he,
yeah, that helps too.
yeah.
It helps when money doesn't matter. Kirk Cousins got to afford those gold chains.
Yep.
Dude, the gold chain's got to go, dude. It's not a good look for him
All
at
right.
all.
What do you got, Derek?
Oh, we already. It's the Texans.
Oh yeah. Got Texans already. All right. Well, I mean, that we wrap up NFL for a couple weeks, right? Till we get to this the draft, which I was kind of talking to I've been talking to a couple people, about the draft and work, stuff like that. And it seems like we kind of said this last year, but doesn't this year seem like it's now enhanced to like one of the more exciting drafts that
Well,
we've
for you
seen?
especially, you get like the number one quarterback, and
We had two top 10 picks.
yeah,
I just mean in general, like it's you don't there's only three times what that you've seen three quarterbacks go in the top three. But the amount of offensive players in the first 15 picks is kind of nuts, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got maybe five quarterbacks, definitely three receivers, then Brock Bowers, and then two linemen at least.
well, there's a lot of tackles going in the first round. There might be 5 or 6.
I
So
just mean in the top 15, but yeah, if you
yeah.
go through the whole first round, you might
Well,
be getting
because
great
even in the
defensive
top 15,
players.
you got Guyton, you've got the tackle from Oregon State, you got there's at least 4 that might go in the top 15, depending on
Yeah, which way people go.
yeah.
Yeah, so you might be getting a top defensive player in the early second round.
Yeah.
So that's good for teams like, Commanders and Bears and all Arizona, all these teams that have top second round picks.
Yep.
So this is, I gotta say, obviously it's a little more extended for me because I'm a Bears fan, but I really, really want to see what happens in this draft.
For me, all I care about is getting a quarterback. That's all I care about.
So before we move on to March Madness, like
Mhm.
what's your guys' ideal Raiders quarterback right now? Like what's ideal scenario?
And Sailor. Dude. Who
Trade
knows?
up to 3 and get Jada Daniels would
Jane
be my
Daniels?
ideal. But the worst case scenario for me would be Penix at 13.
Worst case, huh?
Yeah. Well, I
Well,
mean, there is worst case would be taking Rattler at 13.
oh no.
I
It,
if we have to take a quarterback at 13, the only one I really don't want at 13 out of the top, what is it, 6 would be Bo Nix. I don't want Bo Nix.
well, the rate. It's not like I dislike Bo Nix. I don't like him with the rate. It's almost like I don't like Dak. I don't like Dak Prescott with the Cowboys because he can't handle the star. Dak Prescott on the Jaguars, I think would do fine. It's the same way I look at Bo Nix. I don't think Bo Nix is a Raider. Bo Nix is a Viking, as far as I'm concerned. But they're going to get they're going to get JJ McCarthy. That's all there's to it. I don't know. I moving up to get JJ or moving up that far to get Jaden Daniels, it's a stretch. You're almost sitting at 13 and you're looking at Penix, and he's going to be there. You might as well take him because it's not like he's a top 3 guy. If Penix is there, you take him and you just roll with it and see what happens. You know, maybe he turns into a star. If he doesn't, it doesn't really matter. You picked him at 13. You
But
know, it's not like
look at the Raiders draft
it's not like
picks.
Kenny Pickett here. You know, Penix has got ability. He wows people the way he
He's
throws
not.
balls.
He's not Kenny Pickett.
He's not Kenny Pickett.
That's a fairly good.
So if he's there, I'll take Penix. But I would rather have Jaden
But what's
Daniels.
ideal though? Are you trading up? Like if you're the Raiders GM, are you
Yeah.
trading up?
I would trade 3 firsts to move up to 3.
3 first.
Yeah. Well, just look. Do the Raiders don't even need firsts? Why? Because they waste them every year anyway. They've only had one starter in the last like what 8 years.
Oh, it's true. It's true.
It's Colt Miller is the only one that's worked out.
Right.
Yeah.
And they had 3 in 1 year.
If they're gonna do it, they better do it this year because next year, I'm not going all in on Shador Sanders because there's too much hype.
Well, the one I would be was Cam Ward. Is the only one I'd want.
I wouldn't even. Jaden Daniels, yes, I think they should pull the trigger on that. If you can get him at 3, that's great.
I mean, I agree. I think even if you gave up 3 firsts, I think first of all, I think Jaden Daniels is a little underrated comparatively to the other quarterbacks. Not that people aren't saying he's a top 3 quarterback, but I think they think that the gap between Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels is farther than it really is.
No, it's not. It's stupid.
He's a good quarterback. He runs the ball well. He can throw the deep ball with accuracy. There's some things you got to work on, but that's true with everybody.
Yeah.
So ideally, yeah, I mean, trade up for Jaden Daniels.
You might as well pull the trigger because if not, you're gonna get stuck with Penix.
I guess the only other question is, and maybe this was a thing with Justin Fields, but why wouldn't you go for Justin Fields as the Raiders?
Because they got freaking
They
Getsy.
might have.
They got Jetsy.
No. Hold on. Well, the question is, they might have tried.
Maybe they were one of the 2 teams that offered higher and they declined.
It could have been. You know. But even that,
I don't understand. I'll just tell you, I don't understand the Gardner Minshew thing.
No, I don't understand it either. But the only thing I do understand is he's going to start the season, and if they pick up, if let's say they did get a Jaden Daniels, you give him half the season. Gardner Minshew then is the backup for good to a Jaden Daniels. So you secure a backup. He starts the season, then he becomes your backup.
Well, I
understand that. I don't understand him being the starter.
You bring him in as a security blanket because you still don't know what you got with O'Connell.
Right.
No,
I mean, I think he's
a solid backup though.
He's a solid backup.
He's a backup.
And he's only in his 2nd year. And that's the problem. Everyone's saying, give Bryce Young time. This guy freaking came in and won a bunch of games.
Yeah, give him time as a backup.
Give him some time.
At minimum. Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're going to go quarterback, why wouldn't you just say O'Connell's our backup?
Well,
that
is a great question. Is like why couldn't if you got Jaden Daniels, why couldn't you start O'Connell at the beginning of the season?
Well, here's the thing. They probably are like, well, we got to get something because look at Denver. Right now, Denver is Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah.
That's it. And
they literally have nothing.
So let's say the Raiders go in at 13 and all 6 quarterbacks are gone.
Right.
Possibility.
Then you're stuck with just Aiden O'Connell.
Right.
Well, Minshew, at least he could win you some games. I mean, the dude almost took him to the playoffs.
Well, that's well.
But maybe O'Connell takes the Raiders to the playoffs if you don't start Jimmy G all year.
It's true. Or if you don't have Josh McDaniels,
Right. Well, even then, maybe they win a couple of those games. and then you
Well,
get rid of McDaniel. I mean, I don't know. I'm just the Minshew. It's a weird signing for me if you're planning on drafting quarterback.
right. It's only a 2-year deal.
Yeah,
I mean, think about it this way. The Raiders signed Matt Schaub years ago to be the starting quarterback. And then the second round, they drafted Derek Carr.
right.
They go into preseason, Carr beats him out. Okay, so Matt Schaub's done. It's not that big a deal. I mean, it's only a 2-year deal, and only 1 year is really guaranteed.
Right. So you just take the hit and cut him
Yeah, I mean,
or trade him for like a seventh round pick.
right. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, just he's insurance because we saw how many backup quarterbacks played last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think ideal. I would say ideal for the Raiders is Jaden Daniels backup. I don't know. I don't think Penix is a horrible backup scenario there.
The only thing I can see is if you trade back, trade down and get more picks and take Penix later in the first round.
Yeah, maybe like 18, 19.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, and it's another interesting scenario. Just get your thoughts on that. Let's move on from NFL because we got a couple weeks here at least. March Madness is upon us.
And Steve,
Playing game started today, right?
yeah, let me interrupt you, Steve, because I got trivia.
Oh, okay. We should have done it at the beginning, but let's get into it.
March Madness trivia.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good time for it. Let's get some March Madness trivia.
Okay. This is by tournament, not game, but the whole tournament. Most individual points scored in a single March Madness tournament, top 10.
Top 10. For how long are we going back all time?
The earliest in these, you probably won't get one of these, is 1956. So I'll give you Hal Lear,
Yeah, I'm not getting Hal
Temple.
Lear.
Everyone else, ex well, maybe one other. Everyone else on this list is either famously, you would know them from college basketball, or you would know them as Hall of Famers in the NBA.
But they're all like 50s and later.
Yeah, now it's 1950. Okay, I'll give you the oldest. 1959 and 1965 are the
So,
oldest.
and it's just in the tournament, top 10 points.
Yes.
Oh, Christian Laettner.
No.
No, no
Good.
Christian Laettner. What's the dude from Kansas?
Manning.
Manning.
Yes. Danny
Yeah, Danny
Manning
Manning.
is fourth all time.
So Danny Manning. Oh man. And it's all their years in the tournament or just one tournament?
No, one single tournament.
Oh, one single. Ooh, one single.
It's like that's like so. Remember, Danny Manning had that one great.
Right, right,
Do
right.
you need me to give you the school for
Yeah,
each guy?
let's do well, let's see what you can figure out first. So Danny Manning is for single tournament points. Allen Iverson?
No, he never made it that far.
No.
No.
Tim Duncan?
Nope.
No. Randolph Childress?
Nope.
I thought Wake Forest went deep. I thought one of them might have made it.
What about Grant Hill? Grant
Nope.
Hill.
Nope. There is one Duke, but I wouldn't have got this Duke one.
Eldon Brand?
No.
Man, this is tough one.
Yeah. So
How about give us the year? Let's see if we can
Okay.
go by the year.
All right, so number 10 year is 2001.
Oh, okay. I can't remember his name. No, you're talking about.
All right, give us the school.
That's
Year. Give us the school.
It's
dude.
Duke.
Oh,
I, I,
Duke
I
2001.
remember his name. I know who it is. It's their point guard. I don't remember his name.
He's
I mean,
on
it's not
ES
Bobby Hurley. It can't be Bobby Hurley.
No. It's not Bobby Hurt. No.
He was on ESPN.
Yes, he was. I don't remember his name. That's
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Jason Williams.
Yes.
Jason Williams.
Okay. Give us the year of the next one.
Yeah, 2002.
Jeez.
Oh wait a minute. That was Maryland. That was Juan Dixon.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this one's going to be probably impossible. 1980.
Oh,
1980. Give us the
what?
school.
What's
Purdue.
the?
Purdue, 1980.
Oh shoot, I don't know.
When we know this
I thought you
guy?
were talking about like Magic Johnson here.
Yeah, he played in the NBA for a lot of years as a center.
Center from Purdue,
Oh,
1980.
dude.
Oh, man, I don't think I don't got this one.
Joe
Wayman
Barry.
Tisdale?
No, Joe Barry Carroll.
Oh yeah, I would never got that.
This next one I'll tell you because there's no way. Austin Carr from Notre
Mm-mm.
Dame in 1970. There's no way
Yep.
you're getting this one. Okay, this one, 1959.
Oh, uh, what's the school?
This will give it away.
Well,
West Virginia.
Jerry West.
Yes.
I was gonna say that anyway before you gave the school.
Okay, and then it was Hal Lear, Danny Manning. So the next is 1968.
Jeez. So 1968.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
No,
Oscar Robertson.
no.
Give us the school. We'll see if we can get it.
Houston.
Houston.
Oh, jeez.
1968 Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer.
I forgot Houston. Shit. Or-
He's a big man.
I don't know history.
Nope, don't got it.
Elvin Hayes.
Oh no, wouldn't have got that one.
Okay, the next one, 1965.
Dude, the 60s are killing us.
That was when like Dr. Zhivago came out. That's all I know about 1965, Dad.
This one, he's a two-time NBA champion. And he went to Princeton.
That gives it away.
Oh man.
And he ran for politics.
Oh no, it's not Jack Kemp.
No.
There's no. It's as a quarterback. Oh
Yeah,
I
don't got it.
don't got it.
Bill Bradley.
Oh,
Bill Bradley. I mean, I know Bill Bradley.
Right.
I would have never gotten that.
Okay, this one, the number one. You both should know this easily. 1989.
There's I do know it. I know who it is.
Because
Why are you looking
Kansas
it up
won
on
in
the computer,
88.
Wes?
What?
Why are you looking it up on the computer?
Wait, Kansas won in
No, I
'88.
know the school.
What's the school?
Oh, it's easy. If I give the school away, it's easy. Well, I'll tell you, they won the national championship and they played Seton Hall.
I know it's I already know Glenn. Is it Glenn Rice?
Yes.
All right, I'm done. I already knew the school. I remember that championship as a kid.
Was it Georgia Tech? Is that
No, it was
No,
Michigan.
Michigan.
Michigan
Michigan?
won the title.
Michigan Seton Hall.
Yep.
It's the championship
Glenn,
game.
I remember that. Glenn Rice was an animal.
Yeah.
Got his name for a minute.
They had
I mean
like
that's a pretty tough one, dude.
Dude, Derek, that's not fair.
You had one in
Dude, let me
in
have
the
a couple more
2000s?
drinks and let's do it again.
We
there
should
was
have been
two.
like post 2000 or something like that, dude. Jeez. You had like 5 in the 60s and 50s.
Yeah. No, 4.
Yeah, that's tough.
Austin Carr was the 70s.
I mean I'm pretty confident in my NCAA knowledge, but not back to the 60s, dude.
You
Even
got
the
Danny Manning
80s
right
is
off the
tough.
bat.
Because here's the problem is it's 2024, dude. So even the 80s
Yeah.
was 50 years ago.
Well, I know, like, but for me, and dating her, we were like 10, 11 when Danny Manning and Glenn Rice did
Right, right.
theirs. And so it was
Yeah,
etched in my brain remembering those tournaments.
right.
Because I've got to remember Michigan had Ramil Robinson, Loy Vaught,
Yeah.
Terry Mills.
Had a good team.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's get into March Madness this year. Got our HSC podcast group. Just doing the three of us this year. We'll see how we compare with our scores. Um, I don't want to get into all of the whole bracket, but uh, first, talk about we talked about this a little earlier. Some of the teams that didn't make it, Indiana State, we talked about that. That's a big one. Are there any other teams that, you thought should have made it that didn't make it?
Well, I want to say on Indiana State, what's hilarious is everyone's like, really? You gave us Virginia when we could have had Indiana State?
Right. Who just got
Virginia is horrific.
slaughtered.
Dude, how do you get beat that bad by Colorado? I didn't even
Dude,
knew
Colorado
State
State's
had a
good.
basketball team.
Colorado State's good.
Well,
Virginia's not good.
They've got what, like 6 teams in the tournament.
Yeah.
Dude, that was horrific.
Was there any big teams though that you think got snubbed?
No. Those are 68 teams. Like, you can't make 68, dude. If you're 70, sorry. It's like college football. It's like if you're the 15th team, sorry, you should have been 14. There's enough teams. Like,
My only thing, the seeding was messed up, though. I mean, like the projections had Florida as a 5 and they end up as a 7. And then they got to play Boise State or Colorado. That's like horrendous. It's like
but you're still only talking about a couple seeds off. Like there wasn't a lot of seeds when I looked at it. That was too bad. That was probably one of the worst.
all the I mean, Boise State shouldn't be in a play-in game. I mean,
Yeah, as I look at them,
Utah State is an 8. That's a pretty bad seeding. They like the Mountain, they screwed them big time. Because we saw, Colorado destroyed Virginia.
right. Yeah, and you're talking about an ACC team. I guess it's also the other issue I have is like Duquesne at an 11.
Duquesne should have been a lot lower.
Right. That's what I mean. Like I think that's a solid team, but because they're not a Power Five,
Well, and then they were like fifth in their division, but they won their tournament.
right? Well, we talked about this earlier. I think my personal feeling is that the teams that come hot out of their conference tournaments do well and I'd love to see statistics on that. I just don't have them. That's just an anecdotal feeling that teams come out hot out of their conference tournaments do well in the tournament.
Right. Well, I mean, it's weird. So Auburn, Florida meet in the SEC championship. Auburn's a 4 seed and Florida's a 7.
Right.
And Alabama is what, a 4 seed?
Well,
And
and
Florida beat them by 20 twice.
you still get Kentucky at a 3, Duke at a 4.
Gonzaga's a 5.
Gonzaga a 5. I don't think Gonzaga's a 5. All right, so let's talk about first round. So by the next time we podcast, they should be what? What are we going to be at?
Sweet 16,
Sweet
right?
16. So we got to talk about first couple rounds here. So first round upsets. Any big upsets in the first round?
Oh, yeah.
Derek, what's your biggest upset in the first round?
Let me look to see here.
Wes, why did a bunch of balloons just go through your
I
screen?
know, that was awesome. West was,
Did you not did you see that?
I saw that and I was like, what's going on? I've got 2 12s winning, so I guess I'll just start with I got Grand Canyon beating St. Mary's.
Yeah.
I also have Grand Canyon beating St. Mary's.
The Grant Thomas, that kid from Grand Canyon is really good.
Do we have a consensus on Grand Canyon beating St. Mary's?
Yeah.
We do.
I guess okay. Well, then I let me pick my other 12. And I don't think we'll have a consensus here, but I got McNeese State beating Gonzaga.
I got that too.
I have that too.
What? You just said Gonzaga was
No, they're too high.
No,
They're not.
overrated. I thought Gonzaga was too
No,
high.
but they lost to St. Mary's twice.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And St. Mary's is a 5.
Uh, so yeah, I have all those. So I also, this might not be a popular one, but I have New Mexico beating Clemson.
No, I get that too.
Dude, New Mexico's in my Final Four.
Okay,
No,
well, we all have
no,
that
stop
one too,
there.
huh?
No, they're in my final.
No,
Stop.
they're in my Final Four.
No,
You got it's the year of the
San Diego
Suns.
State. It's San Diego State again.
Okay, so
Dude, they got Eddie House's son, Jamal Mashburn's
Yeah.
son, and the coach is Rick Pitino's son.
Yeah.
well, so the other one I have is I knew Colorado State was going to beat Virginia, and I also have them beating Texas.
Yeah, I got that one too.
I don't have that.
So that's
had,
two of
is
my
that
big
your-
ones because you already said. And then I have Duquesne. I have Duquesne beating BYU.
I did, and then I changed my mind.
I got BYU beat them.
I got
So-
Drake beating Washington State.
Wes, what do you got for upsets?
No, that's the biggest one is New Mexico
New Mexico
and McNeese.
and
McNeese
Grand
beat
Canyon.
Gonzaga. I don't have a 13 seed winning this year.
I
Or
don't
more.
either. I don't have a 13 or higher.
No,
Yeah.
me either.
12 is as low as I go, and that's on Grand Canyon.
Yep.
Well, I'm looking.
Okay.
So you got Yale, which I mean they're not Princeton. Come on.
I don't.
Charleston, Alabama. I just think.
Oh,
Alabama.
wait a minute. I do got Charles. Sorry. I do got Charleston.
You got Charleston, huh?
Over Alabama, yeah.
Over Alabama?
Yeah, Alabama's.
That's tough.
Alabama's not that great. Sure. That's the only 13 seed.
So we got a lot of the same upsets here.
Yeah.
All right, so then let's talk 32 to 16 upsets.
No.
I got McNeese State beating Kansas.
I don't have that. I have Grand Canyon going again into the Sweet. I have Grand Canyon Sweet 16.
Yeah, I do too.
That's my big one. What's your other one, Wes? What do you got for besides
Like-
Grand Canyon?
Hold on. Hold on.
So Derek, you got McNeese. I got Grand Canyon.
It's not here.
Oh,
Well,
let's just shut
I'll
up.
tell you one, Steve, that you'll be happy about. I got our first 1 seed out as I got Nebraska beating Houston.
I do not have that, but I think it's possible because Houston has been a little volatile.
Yeah. And I also have Drake beating Illinois. So I got actually, so I've got Drake, New Mexico, Nebraska, all making it to the Sweet 16 with McNeese State.
Yeah, I also have New Mexico going to Sweet 16. The other one I have in Sweet 16 is Oregon. I think Oregon's on a roll.
Yeah, I was debating it because I don't know. It's hard because Creighton is pretty good still.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough game.
I think what happens is because UConn's so good,
Yeah,
it makes Marquette and Creighton not look as good, but they are. Plus, like with Marquette, they had their best player wasn't even playing.
right.
When they lost to Creighton and UConn twice, he wasn't playing. So,
Well, the other
but,
one that I have is NC State.
right, because of the tournament.
I just think they're hot. I also just look at their lineup, just solid. So, I mean, that's my big ones is Grand Canyon, New Mexico, NC State, and Oregon. So that'll get us through the Sweet 16. We don't want to need to talk Final Four, Elite Eight yet, but who's your who do you got winning?
It'll be surprising. I got Purdue beating New Mexico.
I have UConn winning. So I got UConn going in there, beating NC State.
Oh, there
I'm
hasn't
riding
been
this
back
NC
to
State
back
wave.
since Florida Gators.
Riding NC State all the way. So those are my but we'll talk Final Four, Elite Eight. The most exciting round though is
The
the
first week.
64, right?
Yeah.
Because that's when things happen. You have the 12 seeds and the 13 seeds and all these teams just playing in games coming down to the end, and it's just so fun to watch.
See if we
But I
can get
really don't have any really, I mean, none of us obviously just talked about that. But as I look at this, and we're probably wrong every year, but I mean, maybe like what St. Peter's beats Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's a 15 and a 2.
'Cause Tennessee hasn't looked good at the end of the year.
Right. They've been struggling. I mean, I can't see Purdue losing. I really can't see Marquette losing. I mean, Kentucky, Oakland. Oakland's just not that great in my mind. Vermont, Duke. I mean, Longwood and Houston. Long Beach State, Arizona. Arizona, they can upset you sometimes. But like Colgate, Baylor, Charles, yeah, I mean you have Charleston or West had Charleston winning.
Wested.
Yeah. But Wagner, North Carolina, I mean, come on. South Dakota State, Iowa State, Stetson and Yukon. That'd be a bracket buster right
Yeah,
there.
God. That would destroy pretty much everyone's because I'm guaranteeing everyone has UConn in the Final Four, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's hard not to have them in the final four. What about FAU? What it to me that was a tough draw for them, right? Because I
yeah,
could have them going a lot further, but they have UConn in the next round.
right.
So I think that's a tough draw for FAU because I think FAU could compete and beat a lot of teams in the tournament. But you play your first round and you got to play UConn,
Yeah, your second round. Yeah.
right? Because I don't think I mean even though Northwestern's good, I still think FAU wins that game. But that's just tough, dude.
Well, the other one that was an interesting draw was Michigan State as a 9 seed
Right,
playing could be playing North Carolina. And at the beginning of the year, Michigan State was a top 5 school.
right.
And it's Tom Izzo. You know how many times you've been like, oh, Michigan State's not very good. And then they get to the tournament
Yeah.
and then
They
they go
have a
on a run.
great run.
And
Yeah,
you're the biggest North Carolina fan. You never know what you're going to get with North Carolina.
I think I made a mistake in taking Mississippi State there.
Yeah, I can't. That's like the first round. Whoever I've made that mistake too many times. I always got to take Michigan State in the first round.
Right. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. I don't know if that'll help me a lot. I guess if I was gonna say, I didn't pick it, but if I was gonna say my biggest chance for an upset that I think like that will make the biggest splash is gonna be Long Beach State beating Arizona.
Yeah,
Because that's a what are they, a 3
Arizona's a 2, aren't they?
or a 2 and a 15, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, two and a 15. So every year it seems to happen. If I was going to choose one, that's the one I'd roll with.
Well, and that's the one too. It's like I'm not really a fan of Arizona, but they got like the easiest draw, it seems like.
Yeah.
Because they
Well, because
get
then what? You
Dayton.
play Dayton or Nevada.
Yeah. And that's why I have New Mexico going on
Right.
because
Yeah, that's tough, but I guess that's my recommendation. Like if you're looking for something to get some real high odds on, I'd probably go there. I can't wait for the tournament. Honestly, like, I didn't watch a lot of college basketball this year, but I watched a ton of the conference tournaments. And it was crazy because most of the top seeds lost in their conference
yeah.
tournaments. You had a lot of teams that are in here because they won their conference tournament. And I'm a big believer in that momentum carries over. So
Survive and advance, right?
yeah, it should be fun to watch. All right. Well, we'll get back next week with we'll be in the Sweet 16, so we'll be able to see how we did, compare what we picked for the top eight, or Elite Eight and Final Four, kind of make those comparisons.
Who knows? It could be just disaster.
Oh man, you just never know, you know. I mean, I don't know remember who was talking about it, but I was watching a show and they're like, this could be the most wild March Madness tournament you've ever seen.
Right.
And you know, you look at it and you're like, I just don't, because look at what Houston happened to Houston. You
Right.
know, I mean, UConn's probably been the only super steady team all year.
Yeah,
And
and
you just said about North Carolina, you don't know who's going to show up, dude. They could score 40 points in a game.
that's the thing about UConn. They look like the favorite, but you haven't had a back-to-back national championship in a long time.
Yeah, yeah,
It's really hard to do.
that's tough to do. But you don't have many teams that, you know, win the national championship and then still go on to really have great, not in a while anyway, to have great teams next year. It's because that all changed when guys didn't stay all 4 years and a lot of them going to the draft and things like that.
Shoot, North Carolina still has Baycott.
Right. Well, and RJ Davis.
Yeah. I mean,
So, I mean, really, you only lost, you know, Leahy, Lack, and Caleb. What's his name? Caleb something. So you only lost two players, really big time players from last year. You returned a lot. So,
right.
all right. Well, interesting to see. We'll see how we do comparatively. Get our Sweet 16. Can't wait to you know, get into see what happens more with NFL free agency, especially the draft. Be fun to watch. So we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like on YouTube. Appreciate listening on Spotify. Um, Next week we'll come back with some more. We'll try to get into a little easier March Madness trivia for our listeners. Because I know if I was a listener, I'd be like, "Yeah, I don't got to use this."
Well, someone would be like, yeah, that's Austin Carr, man.
Right. Yeah, if they're 65. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.